Hey y'all, welcome to our South Georgia garden.
You know, Mark, I've been hearing a lot of commercials about Black Friday shopping, but you know, I don't wait till Black Friday to go shopping for plants. I'm able to find lots of plant sales and good deals all throughout the year.
That's so true. We shop clearance plants all year long, and we found some good ones. So join us on a tour of our garden as we focus on some of our clearance plants.
When you're planting a garden, sometimes it's good to look for plants that are on sale. Some people call them rescue plants. We like to go to our local Lowe's and look on the clearance rack. We actually call it the clearance rack, and we imagine a gardener named Clarence moving his plants at some very low prices. Well, here you see that we shopped good old Clarence's rack and found some knockout roses. Wow, what a deal. $5 a piece. These roses are 2 years old, and look how they have formed a hedge of knockout beauty. Yes, Clarence, you got some good plants. So when looking for a deal, you don't have to wait for a special deal during the year, a Black Friday. Just past that hedge of coral knockouts, or some more coral knockouts that came from a Clarence deal just 1 year ago, and just past them are some pink ones, also just 1 year ago. We had such success with Clarence's knockout roses plants that we looked for some more knockout roses from Clarence's rack and found them. Late summer into the fall, we found these this year in 2025. There's some red knockouts in here, and there are some yellow knockouts. So we scattered them in a newly created garden that's mulched heavily with wood chips. We added some good compost around each of these roses, and we've been giving them some tender love and care, because Clarence doesn't always love on his plants before he puts them on a rack for sale. So you got to give them a little TLC when you bring them home. But you saw the results from the ones that were 2 years old. These newly planted plants will catch up with them quickly, and hopefully next year we'll have another beautiful display as spring brings on knockout beauty.
Here's a D.D. Blanchard we got on sale back in December of 2023 from Wise Nurseries, a local nursery that often has trees on sale. This was a 30-gallon tree, $35.
Yes, and we often check on Facebook to see if Wise Nursery is having a sale. And we saw in the fall, at their fall sale, this glorious plant was on sale.
And if you happen to be in the Statesboro area, look for Wise Nursery. They have a lot of great plants, and they have some sales from time to time. But if you're not in Statesboro, I guess, Belinda, they can look on the internet and find a nursery near them.
Yes, find their own neighborhood nursery.
So Clarence and his special clearance plants doesn't just favor the big box stores. You can also find deals on plants at local nurseries. And we got two of these D.D. Blanchards, didn't we? There's one in the distance.
Pause it and let's go over there.
Well, here's that D.D. Blanchard that was in the distance. You can see its size. It was a 30-gallon plant when we planted it. Not bad. 2023, December, and this is almost December of 2025. Wise Nursery, D.D. Blanchard Magnolia. Great deal. Here's a little gem magnolia. Very large one that we had installed. A landscape company installed it for us. They used an auger on a skid steer. But, Belinda, what do we have here?
Well, I think these are some of the clearance plants again that we found. Little gem magnolias. These were only 7-gallon pots, and so you can see that they're much smaller. However, the price was right. So we decided that we would put some Little Gem magnolias outside our fence area on this side, headed toward the lake.
And these were 75% off at Lowe's.
Exactly.
Can't remember the price, but I think they were about $17 each.
I think that's about right. This one tended to be more of a bushing type plant, so we left it multi-stem to be more of a bush situated on this corner of the fence.
Hopefully the deer won't rub on it since it's a bush.
Right. And these two were already in the standard form, so we put them on each side flanking our gate going into our backyard fenced area. But as you said, since it's outside the fence, we're making some precautions, taking cautions to put up the deer fence to protect the tree. Hopefully the deer won't come in and rub on the trunk during the rubbing season.
And so far, so good. The deer have left it alone.
Yeah, this is the first season with these, so stay tuned and we'll update you on how this deer fencing works.
Fingers crossed.
And actually, when we found those Little Gem magnolias on sale at Lowe's, there were actually 4 of them. So we saved this one to put in our front garden. But then we remembered that the urn at our Barney garden had been in that pot for about 3 years, and it was probably time for it to get moved. So, as most gardeners do, we moved some plants around. The Clarence magnolia, Little Gem magnolia, we placed in the urn here and took the larger Little Gem magnolia that we had had for 3 years, put it in the front. So now we have the small Little Gem magnolia in the urn. We'll give it a chance to grow here for 3 or 4 years, and then we can, of course, move it into the landscape and give it another place in our garden.
And probably by then we'll find some more Clarence plants that we want to plant somewhere, I'm sure.
Mark, I think this is another plant we found on sale at Wise Nursery. What type plant is it?
Belinda, I believe you're right. This is a Loropetalum. This Loropetalum was on sale, or clearance rack as we like to say, at Wise Nursery. 45-gallon plant. Look at this. Of course, it didn't look this great when we planted it 2 years ago in December of 2023. But with a little tender loving care, look what she's done. She blooms in the spring and again early fall, and now she's putting on some fall winter color. Beautiful plant.
Yes, and I think she is a ruby Loropetalum.
I'm not really sure. I know she's one of the largest.
Right, she'll get pretty large. And that's why we've placed her here on the bank near our road to sort of be part of a screen from the road.
Yes, and if someone doesn't know how big a 45-gallon plant is, that's about the largest that we'll plant together.
It was quite awesome to get it in the dirt, wasn't it?
Getting it out of the pot is as challenging as digging the hole.
Oh, but that's when we were so glad that we had a power planter auger to help us.
Very true. One of the best inventions since the shovel.
We look forward to watching it grow. These yellow mums you see here are simply gorgeous. These mums have been blooming all fall. They were tiny plants that we found on the clearance racks 2 years ago. They were in small 4-inch pots, marked down to $1 a piece. It was already after Thanksgiving, and most people were no longer buying mums to use as holiday decorations. So these mums didn't appeal much to other people. But we knew what they could become by the next growing season. So we bought them, and we planted the mums around in our garden, and especially at the base of different camellias in our woodland garden. We know that camellias need some shade in our South Georgia sun, and we only had one oak tree in this area. So the foliage of the mums would serve to shade the roots of the camellias throughout the summer, even before the mums burst into bloom in the fall. And luckily for us, and for those camellias, the yellow mums continued to grow and returned even after the large oak in this woodland garden was toppled. These yellow mums were definitely worth buying on clearance and given a chance to grow in our garden.
This is that Muskogee we planted back December of 23, isn't it?
I think it is, yes. And this is about what it looked like when we purchased it, as far as there was no foliage. So we really weren't sure how the blooms would look. And also, even though it is a Muskogee crepe myrtle, sometimes the blooms tend to be a little lighter or darker according to where they're placed in your garden and the type of soil you have.
That's true, but they still all tend to be that lavender color.
Right. They're considered to be a lavender Muskogee.
And as you can see from Belinda standing next to it, it will eventually be quite a tall tree, 20 feet plus.
Yes, and it's a 4-trunk specimen.
Yes, it is.
And it has sort of a grayish mottled trunk. And we don't tend to, as they call it, crepe myrtle our crepe myrtle trees. We like to let as many of the branches go natural. We do trim off some of the seed heads, but we kind of leave them during the fall and winter for the birds. Then when spring comes, we'll go in and check to see if there are any crossing branches or if there are any dead branches, and we'll remove those. And typically that's about all we remove.
After the dormant season, yes.
Right, once they first start sprouting out in the late winter, early spring, so we know if any of the branches are damaged or crossing.
About the only other pruning these crepe myrtles need are getting the suckers off of them, because they sucker badly.
Right, this one tends to sucker a lot.
But I think it's worth it for its beautiful color and its shade.
Right, and it's going to be beautiful in our woodland garden.
And here is that Muskogee in our woodland garden in the spring of 2025. Those lavender blooms shine in the South Georgia sun. Just as Belinda and I forecasted, this Clarence plant has grown, has bloomed, and is added to this woodland garden, especially since we lost that large oak tree anchoring one end. So we're enjoying seeing it grow. Hopefully it'll provide not just this beautiful lavender color, but also some shade in this woodland garden. Just another way of seeing that a Clarence plant can grow into something truly amazing and be a focal point of your garden.
We also added this Eagleston holly that we found on the winter sale from Wise Nurseries, our local nursery. It had already been shaped into a standard, and as you can see, the caliper of it is very nice.
And it was a 30-gallon.
So it was already kind of a tall tree when we got it. Now I would say, what? It's about 10 feet tall?
Well, I'm just 6 feet, so yes, at least 10 feet tall.
When we got it, it was just over your head height, do you think?
Yes, I would say that, just over my head height. We planted it ourselves, so it was easy enough for us to put in the ground by ourselves.
And this is that Eagleston holly that we planted back in December of 2023. Look at the beautiful berries that were on it. Probably since it was in the pot for so long, it was not as full of leaves, so the berries really tended to shine. Also, you can see that the caliper of the tree then was much smaller than it is now, 2 years later. Mark, are you being able to film the bird that has just landed on that Oakland holly?
I've got him. Maybe he's looking for some berries.
Oh, I think he just got one.
I believe you might be right. He's holding on in this breeze this morning. But that bright blue Georgia sky is sure highlighting him in those dark green leaves and those bright berries.
And Mark, I think we found that the ultimate Black Friday deals for us are when we go out into our own garden and find something such as this Jack Frost ligustrum that we took from one area of our garden, actually out on our berm, where it was becoming crowded by other plants. And we moved it here into our woodland garden when we were just beginning about 3 years ago. So the ultimate Black Friday sale is shopping your own garden, and all it costs you is a little time in your garden digging it up from one spot and placing it in another spot.
That's so true. That's the best way to shop. Shop your own garden, move some plants around. Cheers from our South Georgia garden.
And remember, you don't have to wait till Black Friday to go shopping for plants. You can get lots of deals throughout the year. So happy shopping for plants and happy gardening.